Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome back to the Feed podcast. I'm your host, Shabir. And I hope you're enjoying all of the podcasts. Alhamdulillah, we've had a wide variety of guests from local and from all across the world. Alhamdulillah. Today, though, we've got a very special guest, someone who is, well, you probably know him as the founder of Charity Week, someone who's also a doctor, director of FEMA Lifesavers, and an Islamic historian. So it's a crazy mix of things. So it's definitely going to be an interesting show today. And yeah, I mean, he's definitely local. He's local to us. But from his accent, you would think he's probably from abroad. But no, he's with us here in London, alhamdulillah. And it's someone that I very much look up to. We have with us Dr. Wajid Akhter. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you? Are you okay?
I'm fine, thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Thank
Blushing
you so
from
much.
that introduction. Very kind of you.
Thank you for joining us. It's like you said when we met, it's overdue, like for us to even meet up after such a long time. And it's funny because in terms of like Feed, like a lot of the projects that you are involved with, we've kind of shared a lot of that stuff Charity Week related recently, BEMA related, the CPR training video that was going around, alhamdulillah. So yeah, I mean, but we don't know the man behind it. See, so
one of the men,
one of the men
and women. Yes,
exactly, alhamdulillah. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll start with Charity Week. Why? Because we're currently we just started, right?
Yes.
As we're recording. By the time this goes out, Charity Week will be at an end. But we were saying that we had, I forgot which episode it was. A few episodes back, we had Dr. Naveed and Zakaria Rob, who are kind of like products, you could say, of ISOC and Charity Week movement. And mashallah, they've now moved up. So our viewers have some kind of insight into Charity Week. But just for me to kind of just talk about it, because alhamdulillah, I've had some experience with Charity Week, getting involved. It's a project that I love. It's amazing, mashallah. And I know so many people that are involved in it. And now obviously it's a worldwide thing. It's not just in the UK. Qatar, USA, Canada, help me out.
South Africa.
Wow.
Germany.
Okay, brilliant. So obviously it's a worldwide thing now. Literally 1 week, students from all across the world, people who aren't students, getting together, raising as much money as they can, uniting for one amazing cause. And in recent years, well over £1 million has been raised, goes to Islamic relief projects that help in Syria, Yemen, etc. Right, so it's absolutely amazing. I love the concept. But obviously, people are seeing the result now. After how many years has Charity Week been operating?
16 years now.
16 years, right. Let's go back to the very beginning. How did Charity Week begin?
As you can imagine, I get asked that question quite a lot.
Yeah.
Where did this all start? How did it all begin? And I might try to flip that question around a little bit and explain why it began.
Sure.
So, as you mentioned, I have a passion for Islamic history. And since I was young, I would read so many different books and as many things as I could about personalities and great events in the Islamic history.
Yeah.
And it was like having mental whiplash, because you would read these books about how amazing Muslim civilization was, how great our leaders were, what we were and what we contributed to human society. And then you would look at reality today and see that it was literally the opposite. And I grew up with that feeling of there was something not right here. Either the books are wrong or we're wrong, but this doesn't add up. And as I grew up, I also noticed another phenomenon, which everyone who's watching or listening to this will feel as well. I believe in Islam. I truly believe that this is the true faith, and there's so many different reasons why you would believe this is the true faith. And yet, we stand together in prayer, in Ramadan, and as communities, packed out mosques, raise our hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every year we would ask to help the Muslims of Palestine. But would the Muslims of Palestine be helped? No. Would the situation even stay the same? No. In fact, every year the situation will get worse. And it wouldn't just be Palestine. Every year you would just add a new country to the list. Every year, things would get not just worse, it would be like worse in a way that you couldn't even imagine it getting worse. I've been saying this for a few years, and here we are sitting in 2019 talking about concentration camps for 3 million Muslims in Xinjiang. You know, like, who could have even dreamt that up 5 years ago?
Yeah.
How do you explain this? Islam is a truth. We're more practicing now than we were maybe 2 generations ago. There are more Muslims who wear hijab, more brothers with beards, more of us go to masjids. We're sharing messages in Ramadan, Happy Eid, reminding each other to do good. There's more practicing of the faith going on. The Quran hasn't changed. Our book is the same. Our Prophet ﷺ is still the same. Our Lord is the same. So what's changed? And it dawned on me, it was us. We have changed. Everything else is the same, but we are disunited. And we don't work together. And that, you know, coming from a medical background, that is the cancer. Everything else, the drugs, the racism, the misogyny, the lack of ambition, everything else are symptoms. But the cancer, the disease, is disunity. And, you know, just like the Prophet ﷺ has a sunnah, right? Sunnah is like, these are actually things that he did and we know about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has his own sunnah, I believe. And it's the sunnah of Allah that he will give victory to those who are united, whether they are on right or they're wrong. Whether they are good or they're evil. He will give victory to those who are united. United evil will always triumph over disunited good. And he gave us an example at the Battle of Uhud. Even if the Prophet ﷺ is amongst you, even if he's walking with you, and you are winning this battle, the minute you become divided, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you defeat. He will humiliate you. He will destroy you. The minute that you start disuniting. This is why Uhud happened. It didn't just happen to be a storybook for us to read about.
Yeah.
It happened to teach us a lesson, but we don't learn from that lesson. And therefore, and to me, you know, this became more and more apparent as I grew up, and I realized that this has to be the cause that which I work for, that we have to unite the Muslims upon our deen, upon Islam. We have to bring them together, and we have to start somewhere. So this is where charity came about. The idea was that how can we get Muslims to work together? Different Muslims, different ages, backgrounds, languages. Charity was something that everyone agrees on. Even if you're a non-Muslim, you know, giving money to orphans is easy. So Charity Week is really not about charity at all. It's a unity exercise. It's an example of what can happen if the Muslims unite, if we work together, and what we can do together, inshallah.
Inshallah. I'd have to say, by the way, that's probably the deepest start to our podcast that we've ever had. In a good way. In a good way, alhamdulillah. But no, you made some really, really good, powerful points. Especially, like, I didn't think about the point that you made about how even being united on something which isn't good, but is still better than being disunited on something which is actually good. So there's khair in it. So mashallah, it's a really powerful point. Coming back to the beginning of Charity Week, and then obviously 16 years on, how things have worked out. Because I just want everyone else to kind of understand, the listeners and the viewers, how this kind of evolved. Because it's very easy as Muslims, as just human beings, to look at something which you would deem as a success. You know, you look at it and say, wow, this has worked. It's brilliant. It's easy to look at it and think, well, you know, I can't do anything similar to that. You know, it's you know, that's that, but who am I, kind of thing. So I just want you to just kind of take us through the journey over the 16 years, maybe even the struggles and the uphill battles that you've had to face, and the team. How has it grown, and how has, like, unity played a part in the growth of Charity Week?
Jazakallah. So when the project began,
Yeah.
it began with that vision of this is an excuse, a way to unite people. And it was important from the beginning, and it's just as important right now, that the vision of unity is above everything else. Of unity upon our religion is above everything else, above even the money we raise. That's not what's impressive. And If I ask anyone, even the people who took part last year, how much was raised last year, they can't remember. They forget. You forget everything. You forget the amount of money raised. You forget the number of institutions. You might even forget after a few years whether you took part. But you won't forget is when we come together, that feeling that it generates and the impact of that. So at the beginning of Charity Week, it took the idea of Charity Week actually started in 2000.
Okay.
It took 3 years. While I was at med school, I would spend all evening. I'd go to different universities. I'd speak to people. I would pray Maghrib in a different prayer room for weeks on end until someone just asked me, why are you here, or what class do you go to? I said, I don't actually go to this university, but I'm trying to reach out to people. I'm trying to bring people together. And alhamdulillah, in 2003 I did a test run at my university at St. George's, and at 2004 we started the first official Charity Week.
Right, I see.
And
so those 3 years was what, just background work? You're just trying to figure things out, kind of thing?
3 years, yes. Someone said to me when Charity Week first raised £1 million that night, someone put a hand on my shoulder and said, could you ever imagine this happening? And I told him, yes, this wasn't an accident. This was planned. Those 3 years, every single angle, which date, 1 week or 1 month, which charity should we be part of, whether it should be orphans or widows, every single thing was thought out. None of this happened by accident. Albert Einstein had a good saying. He said, if I was given 1 hour to save the world, I'd spend 55 minutes working out what the problem is and 5 minutes saving the world. So we spent 3 years, day and night, working out every angle. And it doesn't matter who comes on board, whether it's South Africa, Southern Hemisphere, or Northern Hemisphere, Canada. They're like, oh, we want to do Charity Week in January. And then when we go through the thought process and explain why it's in October, they're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Because we've thought everything through.
Okay. So I just want to pick your brains before we continue. In those 3 years, now just being really specific, because I had no idea about this, right? So in those 3 years, when you were planning, and clearly you've thought everything through, what exactly were you doing? Like, were you going to were you speaking to people? Were you getting others involved? Was it just you sitting down? And I just want to know, because I really feel like this would bring value to a lot of people listening right now.
All the above.
Yeah.
If you're going to set out and to do anything, take the time. I give you an example that most your younger listeners will relate to. Treat your Islamic work, or the work that you're going to do, the legacy you're going to leave behind, like a wife, not a girlfriend, right? What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
The majority of us treat it like a girlfriend. That means that today I wake up and I'm interested in fiqh, so I'll do a bit of fiqh. Tomorrow I want to do a bit of hadith, I'll go and learn some hadith. Then I'll do some charity work, and then I'll learn some history. Whatever changes from day to day, I'll change my qibla, my direction, my focus. I won't stick to one thing. And if this gets a bit hard, I was doing tajweed and it became a little bit difficult, I could drop it like a stone. If I was doing charity work and I got a problem with someone, I can ignore that too. I had an argument with them. I don't need to stay here. I can go somewhere else. That's treating it like a girlfriend. But if you treat it like a wife, that means you take time to work out what is best for me. Not just today, what's going to be good for me in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. What's going to be good for me when I graduate, when I get married, when I have kids. What's going to be good for me when I'm tired, or when I've got a lot of time and energy. What's going to fit with my personality, what's good for my deen, my dunya, akhirah. Take time.
And commit. You're talking about commitment.
And when you commit, then قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, then stick to your guns, and the barakah will come.
Right.
But choose wisely. Take your time. Choose wisely. There's no rush. We've been in this mess for hundreds of years now.
Yeah.
We don't need to get out in the next year. Take your time. Find out what's your passion. Do some research. Speak to people. Think about it yourself. Pray istikhara. Read the books. Do the research. Don't let anyone outthink you. And then make your decision. And then what happens when you have girlfriends? You end up with, at the end of your life, with loads of broken relationships, diseases, and God knows what. But when you have a wife, you end up with children. You end up with a legacy. You end up with something that will carry forward. There's barakah in that. Treat your Islamic work, treat your passion like a wife. the same care and effort that you're going to take in your choosing your partner or a husband, if it applies to the sisters. Put that same care and effort. And then when you make your decision, don't flake out. No excuses. Keep on, and you will get the barakah, inshallah.
Inshallah. And the funny thing is, the last 2 podcast episodes have been about marriage.
Have they?
Yeah, just funnily enough, right? It's all tying in. So yeah, for anyone that wants to basically learn more about what Dr. Wajid is saying, the reality of it, and just listen to our last 2 as well. But let's continue with this one, because obviously it's not about marriage, but I really like the example that you gave.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask, in the 16 years, right? Did you face a lot of problems at times where you felt like this isn't going to work, or I need to drop it? Or do you feel like, no, because you planned it so well, everything went smoothly?
No, I mean, I may make it sound like I planned it so well, but problems still came. And it literally came in the first year.
Yeah.
At the end of the first year, we had achieved what we never thought we could.
Mm.
We had 11 Islamic societies in London working together. They raised £30,000. Everyone
Wow.
was on a high. And at that moment, everyone dropped out from my team.
Oh, really?
They were medical students, they had finals, and everyone had a reason. And it was just me and a couple of sisters. And we had a meeting, and I said, look, we have to wrap this up. This can't continue.
Mm.
And they said, no, give it one more chance. Let's go ahead. And I said, I at that time, I don't know whether it was pride, but I felt like I knew pretty much everyone in London of that age group. I said, there's no one. And they said, let's try. So I remember I was very disheartened. I went back to my room, and in the middle of the night, I prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I made a dua. I said, I'm out. I'm all out. I haven't got no one left, and I don't know anyone else. I've tried everyone, and there's no one. So now, please send me help. Min haythu la yahtasib, right? From where I do not expect. Please send me help from where I don't know. And from that day to this day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps sending help, and He has never stopped. I've never been to South Africa. I never went to Germany before Charity Week took place. And there are hundreds of brothers and sisters there who I feel like literally like my brothers and sisters who work day and night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps sending, year after year. The barakah just doesn't stop. And this is just one point. I apologize, my lessons were I talk too much.
No. It's all good.
But
keep going.
this is one aspect of the barakah of unity.
Yeah.
There's a barakah that comes from sadaqah, right? There's a barakah that comes from da'wah. There's a barakah that comes from everything good.
Yeah.
There's a barakah that comes from unity that doesn't come from anything else. If you pray 3 rakahs Maghrib by yourself, and you pray the same 3 rakahs in the masjid, what's the difference in ajr? More than 20 times,
Yeah.
right? Why? Have you prayed 4 rakahs? Have you read a different surah? No. What's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching us? What's the difference? You're surrounded by other people. If you fast in Ramadan, 30 days, is it easier, or is it easier to fast 6 days of Shawwal disjointed? If you ask anyone, they all say the same thing. It's so much harder to fast those 6 days of Shawwal. Why? How does it make sense that 6 days, non-consecutive, are harder to fast than 30 days consecutively? The barakah of unity. Those 30 days, the whole world is doing it together. Those 6 days, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Go on Umrah. It's the same place, Mecca, the same Kaaba. People go all the time. Alhamdulillah, it's a spiritual boost. But go on Hajj. Same Kaaba, same Mecca. It's life-changing. The one who drinks stops drinking. The one who was a gangster stops being a gangster. The people come back with full beards and they've changed their life and Hajj and so on. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us again and again and again. There's a barakah that comes from unity that will not come with anything else. And subhanAllah, this is what I would recommend anyone that, yes, we went through difficult times and we still go through difficult times. And you will too. But the more that you unite, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send you barakah, literally like the monsoon falling on the Sahara Desert. It will not stop.
It's a really good point. And, just going back when you mentioned how you went through that kind of struggle and you felt like just checking out completely. Those moments, they're such a test on it, especially when it comes to sincerity. Like, why did you start this for? And there's always going to be that point. Like, even as a speaker, when you walk in expecting a full crowd, and then you go into the masjid, you go into the hall, and there's like 5 people sitting there. That's what like hits you. It's like, okay, so am I gonna change now and, just cut things short and, give it half-hearted, kind of like an attempt, or am I gonna think, you know what, there's five people here, one of them might go out and do something amazing. I'd do the same, whether there's five, whether there's, you know, 250 people. So it's those moments that I feel like in anything that is good, it's gonna come because Allah is like
Exactly.
testing you at that moment, right?
Exactly. How do you know? I mean, this is
Yeah.
the thing. How do you know who those five people are? This is
Yeah.
the beauty of history, though. When you read it, the Prophet ﷺ never got to see the two superpowers of the world, Persia and Rome, collapsed and the wealth pouring. The Prophet ﷺ was tying stones to his belly and hungry. And they were on the. If you read the hadith, if you read all the hadith, there's a lot about food there because they were on the edge of starvation half their lives. And he saw the vision that Rome and Persia will collapse and you will get their wealth coming into. He never saw it with his own eyes. He never saw it with his own eyes. He didn't get it in his lifetime, but he planted the seeds.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing. Who knows? So if you're a student of history, or that's why, to be honest, I feel like it's something that people should go back to. You will see that our history is full of people who didn't see the victories that they planted. But subhanallah, those victories are there. Those victories are there and they're growing. And if you feel like that, if you feel like you're one of them, you're on that caravan, then subhanallah, 5 people. Hey, who knows? Maybe one of them will be the ancestor of the Mahdi and you're sorted for life and the afterlife.
Exactly. I'm going to sidetrack. I'm going to come back to shouting. I've got a few other questions. Just sidetracking just slightly because, I'm just quite intrigued. You're mentioning history, but obviously you're a professional, you're a medic as well, you're a doctor. So obviously that you must have formally studied. And when it came to history, is this something that you did in your just spare time, you're reading, or how did you kind of balance the two?
Spare time and reading, alhamdulillah, I love reading, but also I studied formally Islamic history when I was young in Saudi,
right?
And Western history at the London School of Economics. I did a degree in between my medical degree.
Ah, so you did another degree in between. Okay, interesting. So this is good because again, there's a lot of students who feel like either or. So it's either I go down this professional route and become doctor, engineer, whatever it might be, or I go down the Islamic route and I become a scholar and a hafidh of the Quran. Do you feel like it's not just, the question isn't do you feel like it's possible to be both, because we know it is, but how important do you feel it is to actually grab both and take as much as you can, especially when it comes to like the sacred knowledge that we have?
I 100% believe that it's not only possible, but that's the way to go. That's the example of before. Imam Abu Hanifa was a successful businessman. I mean, probably a multi-millionaire for his time.
Yeah.
Even Uthman radiallahu anhu was still a merchant. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu still trying to do his job when he became Khalifa. Doing your job is different than doing your Islamic duties or your extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, your job is just a job. The doctor part should not define me.
Yeah.
If it does, then that's really depressing. And, I'm not denigrating what it is to be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. Those are really important things and people need to have them. But it's really how I feed my family and what I do in my working hours. But I feel like I'm asleep 9 to 5
Really?
and I'm alive 5 to 9. That's when I'm really alive.
Wow. See, a lot of people don't see it like that. They just see it as just get the job done, get some money in. And obviously, if you're a doctor, for example, it's easier to kind of justify and say, I'm helping people. So that, those 9 to 5, it's worth it. Obviously, if you're doing something else, maybe you don't see as much value. You can still kind of say, I'm helping, I'm feeding my family, I'm supporting, whatever it might be. But a lot of people don't. That's it. Once it's home time, once you go home, that's it. They feel like just rest and just chill out. But it seems like what you're saying is you're really pushing the idea that, once you're finished, you need to go all out on something else, right?
You need to live your life. When you die, nobody cares. No child ever said, oh, my dad was a doctor or an engineer or lawyer, I'm very proud of. Who cares? I was at a funeral and this elderly lady was being buried. And as she was being buried, as she was being put in the ground, 2 people ahead of me, they were talking to each other, and one said to the other, she was a doctor. And the other said, no, I didn't know that. I nearly fainted. She had studied all through her life,
Yeah.
went to medical school, did all those exams, was a doctor, so much. And at her funeral, it was a passing comment. They don't bury doctors, they bury people. What did you do? What legacy do you leave? Your children do not look up to you because of the words after your name. The legacy you leave behind will be what you do outside of work. And there's so much to do. The world is full of doctors in hospitals, and it's not really changing very much, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
What they need are people who are going to change things outside of that. And people will say, but I'm so tired. I don't have the time. Let me tell you, it's a very simple thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in the time of people who do work that has barakah in it. If you do work that has barakah in it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in your time. And if you don't, then you won't have any barakah in your time.
Yeah.
Every single mother who has one child cannot imagine how is it possible that someone with 2 children manages? Because she feels like, I'm so stressed. And yet when she has a second child, she manages. And the mother with 2 children doesn't understand how the mother with 3 children manage. How do you manage? I barely manage with 2 children. And when you have the 3rd child, you manage.
Yeah.
Because the more barakah you have in your life and the more barakah you put in, the more barakah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you your time. Work for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah. He will find ways to constrain. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I am time. People say, they talk about this, I am time. He will expand it and contract it for whom He wills. Do work with His barakah. I promise you right now, again, another sunnah of Allah, you will have barakah in your time.
Yeah, because I'm always amazed by how, when you read about scholars of the past, like, much shorter lifespans than we have.
Hardly
today.
ever made it 50, right? Most of them.
Yeah. I mean, you read about like Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, and how he died pretty much shortly after the age of 40. But then like every masjid you walk into, every house you walk into, Riyadh al-Salihin will be there. His collection of hadith will be there. And that's just an amazing legacy to think that by that age, done. Everything's pretty much done and everyone remembers him till today. That's what amazes me. Like, clearly they must have literally made use of every single moment that they had. Like, how we feel like, nah, okay, today's my rest day. People complain, okay, it's Sunday today. Today's my lazy day. It's like I've just missed out an entire day in the week calling it a lazy day. You know what I mean? And then it's like, that's one day gone. And every month, that's 4 days gone. It's like making use of every single moment that you have. I feel like that's really, really important. I wanted to ask you another question, just coming back to... Actually, no, let's stick to this because since we're on it, I just want to ask, how do you manage everything? Practically, you're a family man, you're a doctor, you have all these other projects. I mean, Charity Week in and of itself I don't know what your WhatsApp is like. I can just imagine, right? We should like, Ilmpeach should make like an animation of WhatsApp groups, like, how you have those emoji worlds, right? Imagine how it just must be exploding just with Charity Week stuff, and then imagine all the other projects that you're involved in. How do you manage? And also another question based off that I want to ask you before I forget is, a lot of people obviously look up to you. They would come to you for advice, right? And I'm sure you offer a lot of advice and mentorship. Now, how do you kind of manage those expectations? So a lot of people coming to you, messaging you. How do you give them time? So there's 2 kind of questions there.
The answer to the first question, how I manage, is I don't.
Okay.
I don't hold a bucket during Charity Week.
Yeah.
Or do most of the events. There's a team there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm a figurehead, and people focus on an individual. They like to, you don't look at the whole of Team Barcelona. You see Messi, right?
Yeah.
But there's 10 other players on the pitch, and there's a coaching staff, and on his own he would not be able to do it. And I'm nowhere near the Messi of Charity Week or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, there's a team there. Without a team, this is not possible. I cannot manage, and I would not be able to do it. There are brothers and sisters in Charity Week, in BEMA, and FEMA, and Muslim Matters, and everywhere, who are working flat out. But unfortunately, I get a lot of the credit, and it's not fair. But that's the reality. But be part of a team, and you can achieve much more.
Team, definitely. But okay. Let's talk about then just your personal schedule then, because still regardless of whether there's a team or not, you're still involved in a lot of different things. So how would you manage that?
Look, let me be frank. This is something which I don't know how not to manage. Right?
Okay.
it's almost like asking a mother, how do you manage having 3 kids?
Mm.
You know, they don't say, well, I've got 2 and the last one I just can't manage, so YouTube raises him. You know, you do. You find the time and you put in the effort. And if that means you sleep less, then you sleep less. And if it means that I meet my friends once a year, then I meet my friends once a year.
I see.
And if it means that I have to push myself sometimes beyond what I should do, then I will do that. Because no matter what I do, it's nothing compared to what the rest of the team are doing.
Yeah.
And it's nothing compared to the people who we need to help, what they're doing.
That makes a lot of sense. And coming to the second part of the question, which is just managing a lot of people obviously coming to you for advice. The reason why I ask is because I always think about the Prophet ﷺ, how he was a family man and he was obviously the messenger of Allah. He had this great task and mission, and he was going and meeting officials and traveling, giving da'wah. He's the imam, he's leading the prayers, and somehow like all of the Sahaba coming to him, right? And somehow he managed. Everyone walked away happy. Everyone felt like, you know, there's those narrations of the companions. They say that, you know, when we were in the room of the Prophet ﷺ, like every single one of us felt like we were the closest to him, that he was giving us the most attention. So I always look at that example in the seerah and think, wow, what an amazing man he must have been, alayhi salatu wasalam, how he managed that. And, you know, that's why I was just asking you, you know, how do you deal with that?
I don't get that many people coming to me for advice, but I guess in the projects that's what happens. And the way I manage is that, number one, I see it as a privilege. A lot of people, they don't like WhatsApp, and I get it because it's mostly irrelevant information. I'm part of, I think the last time I checked was 958 WhatsApp groups, active WhatsApp groups, and on average I get 1,000 messages every hour or two.
Oh my god.
It doesn't stop. But each one of those is a privilege. Because it's a chance for someone asks you for advice or for your input, or if you have a chance to give input. SubhanAllah, like I fear like I'd be that person who has food and rejects it. You know, like I have the chance to help and I said no. I like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not give me that chance, might not give me that chance again. I remember what it was like before when I wish I could have made a difference and I couldn't. And now I'm in a position where I could make a difference to an event or inspiring someone, and if I don't do that, then you know, like I might lose out big time. So it's I see it as I see it as an honor, as a privilege. So I enjoy it. I enjoy giving time. I enjoy learning, because whenever you're talking to people, you learn just as much. That's part of the growing process.
Absolutely.
So it is really, for me, it's a huge it's a change in mindset. I remember I was sitting down with my friends from uni from back in the day, 10 years after we graduated. So you know, it's a long time since I graduated. And I took a call from Islamic Society. They were quite upset about something, and every year I get 18-year-olds telling me I'm too liberal or too conservative or an idiot or whatever, and that's fine. I was probably worse than them when I was 18. So they called, and it was a very harsh conversation. And when I put down the phone, one of them said, "Are you still dealing with that rubbish? You know, like I thought we'd left that behind us when we left university." And I said to them that, you know, this rubbish that you speak of, this time waste annoyance that you speak of, that's where the barakah lies. That's where the difficulty lies. These things don't get built out of thin air. These teams aren't gelled together by chance. What keeps people together is constant communication. It's, you know, how can I reach out to someone in South Africa without actually being there, without ever, you know, helping them? And the way I do that is by speaking to them, by inspiring them, by motivating them. I'm literally relying on my words to bridge that gap, to build that loyalty, to transfer that vision. So it's a change of mindset. I see it, what I think a lot of people might see as the headaches is actually, for me, is like, this is barakah plus. This is where the blessings are going to come from. This, if you go through it, this is what's going to lead to success, because that's where everyone stops. You know, everyone would love to do something amazing and a big project, but it's these things that stop them. Just another phone call. No, I don't want it. oh, they're WhatsApping me and they're really angry and I'm going to get angry back at them. And it takes a level of dedication and discipline to say, this is alhamdulillah. You know, someone's having a go at me. They're talking to me. They could have been having a go at me without me knowing. And I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Alhamdulillah, this is a real opportunity and taking it.
You know how you mentioned, obviously you have teams that do a lot of the work, mashallah, in South Africa and Germany. Obviously, a lot of these people, when you take a step back, you think about it, these are really young brothers and sisters, right? We're talking about as young as even 18, 19, that you've kind of just placed your trust in to just go out there and do this, right? And you know, run charity week successfully in whichever place it is. Why is it that you've kind of placed so much hope in this younger generation, whereas a lot of people could have been really skeptical, like, no, you guys aren't experienced enough, you know, let us big boys just deal with it. Why do you see so much potential? Because obviously this is what I've seen in Charity Week. It's these youngsters with huge potential going out there, and they've done amazing work. And I've been to events and I've looked around and I'm just like, wow, like what am I doing here being invited as a speaker when these guys, like, they're way more,
I know. I feel that all the time.
Honestly, it's amazing. Why do you see so much potential in this generation?
Because they have it. They have that potential. It's not something that's hard to see. This generation of young Muslims, right? They don't realize it now, but they are growing up in an era of, social media. So they're adept at that. They know how to use social media, but they are also attached to Quran. So now they have some love for it. This generation, they are in their country. They're in this country, in the West, for example, in America, in Canada, in Germany, but they have some connection to back home.
Yeah.
They're not totally divorced from what it's like back home. This generation are professionals. They're going to colleges, they're going to universities, they're trying to get jobs, and they're trying to find the balance with their deen. This generation is the most likely generation to change the situation of the Muslims. This generation is not just has potential, is overflowing with potential. There are gems out there in every single city. I've found them, I've seen them, and I can't believe that they aren't there in every city in the whole world. There are young Muslims, brothers and sisters, with bags of energy, potential, who can do huge things. The way I like to put it, the dots are all there. All we need to do now is start connecting them. And when we do that, the world will not be the same.
How do we tap into that potential? Like, is it the case of just empowering this individual? Because, sometimes you see it, you see the potential, but they don't. They just think, who am I? They're too humble or whatever it might be. They just don't realize what they can do, what they can achieve. So how do you, as someone who's slightly more senior, come into the picture and then kind of motivate them, or whatever you want to call it, to actually step up and do something?
There's no secret sauce to this. It's exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did.
Awesome.
You start with a vision, because the vision is everything.
Yeah.
The vision, there's a reason why the kalama is the first pillar, right?
Yeah.
And the vision is what motivates and inspires people and makes them do things that they didn't know was possible. Aisha Radha said words to the effect that had it not been for 13 years of teaching people Tawheed in Mecca, if the Prophet ﷺ had just skipped through to fasting and people would not have done it. But they had the Prophet ﷺ inculcated in them a love of Jannah, a fear of Jahannam, a love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that they would do whatever came next for that next period. So the vision is important. Young people, young Muslims, they're looking for something. They're looking for something to believe in. Young people everywhere, actually, Muslims and non-Muslims. This is why all these dance crazes, they take off, and the Marvel, the cinematic universe, and people going, it becomes a thing, or football. People are looking for something to believe in, to be part of. Everyone is giving a vision. Football teams are throwing a vision. Liverpool is throwing a vision. Marvel is throwing a vision out there. Everyone is throwing a vision out there. It's just us. Just Muslims, we can't be bothered. We need to give them a vision, something to believe in, something that, look, there's something big that's possible here that you can be part of. And then, you're right, empower them. Now take them from where they are and then work with them. Remove the imperfections, accentuate the positives, work in a team, and that's exactly what happens when you're in a team. The rough edges start being hewn out, and you start getting improving. This is the importance of being in a jama'ah, that you start improving as time goes on. But yes, give them a vision. If you inspire people, they will do things that you can't. Like you look back, like you said, and they end up inspiring you. People say, "How do you inspire people?" I say, I'm a mirror. I just stand in front of an audience and reflect back to them what they really are, and they get inspired.
Have you, you don't need to get into specifics, but I'm just interested to know, have you come across, I'm sure you have, you definitely have, but do you have any kind of examples of youngsters along the way who maybe you saw some potential, they didn't see it, and then now they're out there doing something amazing? Any example? I'm sure you've got so many examples because you've been all over the world.
There are many, alhamdulillah. But, we had a brother who started the Charity Week in Germany, for example.
Yeah.
And this is an example where I didn't see the potential. And I told him, you come back to me when you have a team.
Yeah. And
you start selling that vision. And the very next day, he phoned me and he said, I found someone. And I was like, it's not that, it doesn't happen that quickly. He goes, no, I found someone. He's good. He does everything. I was like, it doesn't work like that. And then he's like, oh yeah, and he's 16 years old. And I just put my head in my hand and I was like, oh my God, this is not going to work. Maybe you didn't listen to me. But subhanAllah, that brother, that 16-year-old was the director of Charity Week Germany last year.
Oh wow, mashallah.
These people do amazing things which really put the rest of us to shame. And that's why I still have hope in that next generation, inshallah, that they'll come forward. There are people who, you're sitting in a meeting and then they turn up and I was like, I thought you had your finals, your medical school finals, your dental finals. Today, what are you doing here? They said, yeah, I just finished it. And I was like, what? You finished it? And what? You straight away got on a train, didn't celebrate with your friends, didn't go for food. You just got on a train and you came to the meeting. They're like, yeah, we got work to do.
Dedication.
One story actually which sticks with me. When I go and do training or deliver talks, I like to ask if it's training, it's a smaller group, to give me their name and something interesting about them, because otherwise I can't remember them. There's a lot of people. And every time you go, people say, there's nothing to remember, there's nothing to remember. There was one group I went to and there was a sister. And she said, no, there's nothing interesting about me. And I said, something, anything, just tell me anything. She goes, oh, okay, I'm from Syria. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Which part of Syria are you from? I'm from Aleppo. Okay, mashallah. When did you come to Germany? And she was, I came 3-4 years ago. And then I stepped back and I said, wait, 3-4 years ago? You didn't come here. You escaped. You're a refugee. And she goes, yes, I'm a refugee. So I said, let me get this straight. 3-4 years ago, your country descended into warfare. You escaped oppression. You walked through Europe and ended up as a refugee in Germany. Learned German. Joined the medical school. And now you're volunteering for a charity project. Wow. All within 3 years. She goes, yes. And I said, yeah, you're right. There's nothing interesting about you. These people out there, they're amazing and they do amazing things. Amazing.
That's amazing. This, like you said, overflowing with potential, this generation. Overflowing. And we see it.
Need to tap it.
Too many examples of that. Coming back to unity, another quick question. Charity Week. Is it only like Muslims that are united? Because I remember at the beginning of the episode you mentioned that obviously charity is something everyone relates to, Muslim, non-Muslim, right? Humanitarian or not. So Charity Week, is it just Muslims involved in this, or is there?
It's mainly Muslims right now.
Yeah.
And our aim is to unite the Muslim youth.
Yeah.
But the beauty of unity, everyone appreciates. Non-Muslims will benefit when the Muslims are united. We used to be a people who discovered cures for diseases. We built the most beautiful buildings. And now we are people don't add much to human society or civilization. But we used to be those people, and we should be those people again. When we unite, inshallah, we should be the people who discover the cure for cancer.
Yeah.
We should do it. We should be the people who get to Mars. When we unite, inshallah. But when we don't, we can't even protect ourselves. We used to be the people who protected the Jews. People, there's people accuse us of anti-Semitism, and there is a problem sometimes in the Muslim community of anti-Semitism. We have to be honest. But Our history isn't that. Our history is that at least 3 times in our history we saved Jewish people from extinction, and so when we're united, people can't be helped but attracted to it. And this year, for example, a Jewish society is taking part in Charity Week,
Wow.
right? And they're raising money for Palestine.
Wow.
They didn't. Nobody forced them. Nobody put a gun to their head.
Yeah.
They're willingly taking part. In previous years, Hindu societies have taken part, raising money for Pakistan. And Sikh societies. When we're united, everyone loves unity. They love seeing it. People, even non-Muslims, when they see the Hajj, they want to be there. There's a reason why they're not allowed to go, because people will just convert just from the electricity in the air.
Yeah.
So, yes, non-Muslims take part. We want them to take part. In fact, one of the team leaders in one of our Qatari teams is a non-Muslim sister. But, we have our Islamic values. We're not going to have non-Islamic activities.
Yeah.
And they appreciate it. They love it. And we respect them as well.
And this whole vision of unity that we've been speaking about pretty much this whole kind of show so far, is this the same that you would apply to the other projects that you're involved with, whether it's like FEMA?
If it has nothing to do with unity, I'm not there. Yes, everything is to do with unity.
So with FEMA, for example, what are you doing? You're uniting what exactly?
So FEMA is the Federation of Islamic Medical Associations. It's a worldwide body where every country, or most Muslim countries and non-Muslim countries, have an Islamic Medical Association. For the UK, it's BEMA, British Islamic Medical Association, where the Muslim healthcare professionals in that country can come together on a common platform,
right,
to benefit each other and their community. So BEMA was founded by an amazing bunch of brothers and sisters. I wasn't there. I'm jealous of them, though. More than 5 years ago, alhamdulillah, 5-6 years ago. And since then, what they've been doing a huge number of activities. For example, putting on a induction course for young medics, health promotion in the masjids.
Yeah.
And one of the activities is to teach CPR in the masjids.
Yeah.
Same day, same time, after Zuhr prayer, all the mosques. 5-6 years ago, it was 3 mosques in London. One of them was this East London Mosque.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, this year in the UK, it was 115 masjids.
Wow.
On the same day. And the other countries, as part of FEMA, the worldwide body, took part. About 8-9 other countries, Philippines to Malawi, all took part on the same day after Zuhr prayer, teaching CPR in the masjids. And again, this shows the barakah of unity, because it's something that we're teaching something good. CPR, basic life support, is very important to know. There's a huge need for it. And I use this as an example, actually. There's a huge need to learn it. For example, they teach it in the schools in Seattle in America.
Yeah.
Because they teach it in the schools, if someone has a cardiac arrest, their heart stops, they die. In Seattle, outside a hospital, their chance of survival is more than 30%, 30 to 40% of surviving.
Okay.
In London, because we don't teach it,
Yeah.
It's about 18%.
Oh wow. Okay.
In Karachi, in Pakistan, it's 0%. The chance of surviving if you have an out-of-hospital cardiac is 0%. There's a huge benefit to teaching this life-saving skill to all the Muslims and to all the, not even Muslims, all non-Muslims. Everyone needs to know this.
Yeah.
Teaching in the masjid is a good dawah opportunity. But what I tell everyone is that, as amazing as this is, the unity that you're building is more amazing than that. It will save more lives. Teaching CPR, one person CPR will save a life.
Yeah.
But unity will save generations, inshallah. We build a system. It's not about teaching one person, because a lot of us were doing that. We're in our separate groups. Some a doctor or a nurse would teach in a mosque about diabetes, or somebody else would talk about mental health. We're doing it separately.
Yeah.
But when you do things separately, it disappears before your eyes. But when you work together, when you combine, again, that barakah of unity comes into play, then you build a legacy, and you can start building on it. And you can, and the next generation can come. I remember someone, one of my friends said, "Inshallah, I hope to achieve what you achieved." And I said, that would be a disaster if you did that, because you have to achieve more than whatever my generation achieved. You have to go further. So, every generation builds for another generation. When we unite, inshallah, when we build systems, and that's what
Yeah.
we're doing in BEMA, inshallah, is that all the healthcare professionals in the UK, we're trying to bring them together on a common platform. So many, every hospital and GP surgery has a Muslim in there,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's a physio or a nurse or a pharmacist. And when we bring them together, we're going to change things in this country, inshallah. And then when we bring the Muslim lawyers together,
Yeah.
and the Muslim engineers, and the imams, and so on, we're just getting started, inshallah.
Inshallah. I mean, I'm thinking about this kind of practically now because, a huge kind of issue, a kind of problem that I would say is that, we see nowadays in the Muslim community especially, is that we love kind of recreating the wheel, just doing the kind of same things. One organization pops up, similar organization pops up, just like you said, everyone's just doing the same thing separately, right? So I'm thinking of it practically, like, so for me personally, if I'm ever asked to get involved in a project or whatever it might be, I always look at it and I always think, I'm talking about a new kind of project, right? And if I look at it and I just see that it's pretty much already been done, but you're just creating something new, then I don't have much interest in it because I'm like, there's already stuff that's established out there. You could just literally just join forces, right? But if it's something new, like there's plenty of madrasas, plenty of institutes. But now if there's a new institute that comes out with a different target audience, or, they're doing something different, okay, I'm interested, because now you're kind of appealing to a percentage of the Muslims that have never been catered for.
Exactly.
So do you see what I mean, right?
100%. Because as someone once said, apologies.
No, go for
it. It's the analogy is that it's not about getting the pie and slicing it. It's about making a bigger pie.
Yeah.
No, it's about making a pie factory. Right? That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Generate it so that everyone has pies. There's so much to do, but we're not serious. This is the thing. We have to be honest. As a Muslim community, we are deep into deception of ourselves. We talk about unity. We all, like, who doesn't? The scholars have been talking about it. They're mentioning it. We all say we want to be united. Do we really? No. The reality, the truth is, we don't want to be united. The truth is that there are hundreds of charities in this country for Syria, right? Who does it benefit to have 100 charities for Syria? Does it benefit the Syrians? To have 100 offices? To have 100 directors? To have 100 cleaners? To have 100 photocopy machines? It doesn't. Who does it benefit? Why do we have them? Let's be honest. When you have 3 mosques on one road, who does it benefit? Is it for convenience or is it for control? When we have 52 Muslim countries, and we're so proud of saying we got 52, do we actually have 52 Muslim countries, or do we actually have 52 countries that happen to have more Muslims in it than non-Muslims? We're not serious about it. We want unity, but when push comes to shove, like with the Rohingya, when push comes to shove, there's no space on this earth for them. Surrounded by Muslims, but there's no space on earth for them. We have to be honest with ourselves that we got a serious problem with disunity. And we find this with Charity Week all the time. This is the one project that is uniting Muslim youth across different countries and continents. And yet every year, all somebody has to do with institutions turn up and say, I'll give you £1,000, and they drop it like that. That's all it takes. Because we don't know what unity looks like. We haven't seen it. Our parents haven't seen it. Our grandparents haven't seen it. And Shaitan is very, very good at disuniting us. For the smallest of reasons. For the passport, for the color of our skin, for the gender, for the sectarian issues. He's very good at dividing us, and we're even better at dividing ourselves. So the reality is that we have a serious problem. We've got to talk about it. We've got to be honest. Because a lot of people are like, I want to do good work too. Then why did you set up your own charity? I don't understand. Why didn't you want to work, like you said, work with others? The work is an ocean. There is there's nothing that you could do in the Muslim world right now. Not one single area that somebody would turn and say, there's too many people doing that. There's nothing. But yet you found the one thing that somebody else would do and you step on their toes. Or you try to recreate the wheel. Why not we work together? Why not we bring people together, inshallah? This doesn't mean that we want just one charity, just one country. It's not what we're saying. What I'm saying is that we need to be aware that the more that we try to unite, the more good work we try to do, Shaitan, who is our greatest enemy, who has fought against every prophet, who has fought against every one of the awliya, he is not going to sit back he's going to use every single trick in his book to destroy us and to prevent that unity. Whether it's a personality issue, whether it's a conflict, whether it's ethnicity or nationality, he will stop us. And we're in a war against him, we don't even realize it, and he's winning. One professor at LSE, he said something which when I read it, I had to put the book down because it was too heavy. He said Islam has defeated every ideology that has ever confronted it in history, except one: nationalism. Nationalism has defeated Islam. And it's hard to argue with him, to be honest, for the last 100 years. Nationalism continues, Asabiya continues to defeat us and destroy us so that we are where we are today.
It's profound. I mean, not sure what to what to say. It's such a deep point, but okay. So it also goes the other way, and what I'm trying to say is that when you have someone that wants to do khair, wants to do good, organization, charity, whatever it might be, right? But it also goes the other way, which is that sometimes where you take that passion somewhere, you take it to another organization, you're like, I want to do this, and then you kind of shut off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there is that side as well, where you're kind of forced to go out and just do your own thing. So again, it comes back to unity, right? Meaning the other side also need to understand that, we need to be a bit more accommodating and welcoming. Yeah. We need to work with other people and be open. Because, again, if you start something, and even if it was unique and you were the first to do it, you kind of like want to hold on to it now.
Yeah.
So you don't want to welcome anyone else on board. Or if someone else does start, then it's like, it's like the end of the world now, Yeah. So if anything, if someone replicates or someone does something which is also good, then we shouldn't have that hatred or animosity towards that individual, right? We should think, okay, khair, they're doing something good, and maybe they've done something that I haven't been able to do. That's it. So I think there's that balance. It
is needed a balance. We get the same messages everywhere, where the young generation, it's almost like our relationship with the rulers, for example, that there was a saying that when we're like this, we will curse the rulers and the rulers will curse us.
Yeah.
So it's very much like the young generation of Muslims seem to curse the older generation and they curse us. The young are useless and lazy, and they're control freaks and they don't let go. And the reality is somewhere in between. We need to find, and if we can do that, if we can show love and mercy and kindness between each other, we can unlock that. And it is possible. It's coming more and more. We see that with lots of different organizations where instead of just saying, I want nothing to do with the older or the younger generation, we're finding a middle ground.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to just ask, we're coming to the end of the podcast, unfortunately. I wanted to ask a question, because we're living in the day and age of social media. You are, mashallah, involved in many different things. And I've actually tried this, by the way. I've actually tried to find you on on social media. So I literally type your name, but I don't get much. So obviously I can find Charity Week, I can find FEMA, I can find all these projects, Muslim Matters, but then and your name sometimes comes up, but not really like much in terms of a profile where I can follow you, etc. Is there a reason as to why in this day and age of social media you're not really on social media? If that makes sense.
I have nothing against social media. I think it's like being against the TV or the airplane. It's a reality of life now. There's good and there's bad in it. And as you said, I'm not on social media, but I actually teach social media and medicine at the local medical school to the medical students. So
social media and medicine.
The confluence of how social media and medicine come together. So so how can healthcare in this country benefit from social media, and what we can do? What's the future looking like?
Okay.
But the reason I'm personally not on it is because, does it really matter what do I as an individual matter? My personal life? Not really. It's pretty boring, I'll be honest. Where I go on holiday, what I eat or drink, or my opinions on various things, even I find that boring, and I wouldn't want to inflict that on anyone else. I can't imagine how anyone else would find that interesting. But the reality is that at the end of the day, it's a huge sink and use of your time and energy and resources. And this is something that I'm not in control of. If I go on social media, then I'm playing somebody else's game. I'm a pawn on Mark Zuckerberg's chessboard. And I won't let him push me around. So if I disengage from that,
Yeah.
I find I have more time to do other things. I'm not against social media or those who are on it, but I think what you'll find is that most people who are doing huge amounts probably aren't on social media. I mean, they have profiles, but other people post for them. And again, this is not me saying, oh, I'm holier than thou, I'm off social media. I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone is missing out with me not being on social media. What's more important is, rather than writing posts, is writing articles or writing books, inshallah. What's more important than me being a participant in an online debate is being the one who ends the debates eventually, inshallah. What's more important to me than building a profile online is building the community offline that will have that knock-on effect online eventually anyway, inshallah. So that vision is much more important, and the work is getting done. I mean, the vision is being posted, is being spread. That's important to me.
Definitely. And I guess,
so the individual is not important.
I guess your 950 WhatsApp groups make up for not being on social media, right?
Exactly. It's almost like my own personal social media.
Exactly. Dr. Wajid, Jazakallah khair, honestly. Really appreciate it. I feel like we've covered so many different topics, but, all coming back to unity. And we're great supporters of your work and Charity Week and of course the vision. We love it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and increase you. And inshallah, I think with the like I said to you, with the history side of things, we need a separate podcast. We need to bring you back and pick your brains on Islamic history, inshallah.
May I just finish with one message for the viewers? If anything that was said today or in any of the podcasts resonates with you, please get up and do something. Please do not let a moment pass, because shaitan will let that moment pass and let that feeling go. Please get up and start that journey, inshallah. Start working on a vision, connecting with other people, start doing something, because time is running out. I mean, to be honest, this is my motive for being on this podcast, is to get that message out, that time is running out. There was a businessman, this is a true story, a businessman who changed his life around, and they asked him, what made you change your life around? And he said he was going to a meeting, and on the road, there was a poor man with his child, his little boy next to him, and the man was saying, please give me money so my child is sick. Please give me money, my child is sick. And the businessman said, I thought I would give them money, but I was running late, so I said, I'll give it on my way back from the meeting. On the way back from the meeting, that same man was there, but this time he was saying, please give me money to bury my child. Please give me money to bury my child. And that businessman felt like he was going to lose his mind. He didn't know what to do. He said, in the time that he went to have his meeting, this child had passed away. Because he decided to do good in his own time or later. And he realized then, he said, it can't wait. Our people, our ummah is crying out for help now. I stepped out of Jama Masjid in Delhi, the biggest mosque in Delhi. Beautiful masjid built from Mughal history. And when you come out, there's a huge row of women all wearing burqas with their children holding out their hand. And I was young, and I asked my father, I said, who are these people? Who are they? And he turned to me and he said, these are your people. These are your people. Everywhere, whether it's Yemen or Somalia or Gaza or Pakistan or India or Kashmir or in Myanmar camps, wherever they are your people. And they are suffering, and they're crying out for you to do something now, to make a change. When they raise their hands up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not raise their hands up asking, oh Allah, where's the money? No one does that. They ask, oh Allah, where are the Muslims? Where are they? Make sure that when you pause this podcast, that you start giving them an answer.
That's I think we're going to end it there. Jazakallah khair once again. Thank you so much. And for our listeners and viewers, I don't think we could have ended on a more kind of powerful note, to be honest with you. I'm feeling left inspired, and I really do want to take up Dr. Wajid's advice, which is that when you feel inspired, and Ilm Feed, by the way, is all about inspirational stories, or when you feel motivated, when you feel that little bit of energy, like Dr. Wajid said, do something about it. Get up and just make use of the time, because time is very, very limited, as we all know. May Allah bless you. Thank you so much once again.
Thank
Thank you
for this.
to all of our viewers and listeners. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out, of course, all of the work of Charity Week and all of the other projects that Dr. Wajid and the team are involved in. May Allah bless you all. Thank you so much for listening. And drop your comments below, inshallah. Drop some tips as to how you have, and even stories. We'd love to hear from you, how you have been involved in different projects, and how you have, been involved with unity, and how unity has really helped you, the vision, right? Inshallah, we'd love to hear from you. Take care. From your host Shabir and from Dr. Wajid and the team. We'll see you inshallah next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.